So a lot of you guys come stop and you're like, hey, there's this class and that class, and Lee and Kristen asked me, like, can you just grab a bunch of these things, put them together, put them in a class, and just teach some of those things? So I was like, sure, let's do that. Couple rules, okay? This is not an extensive explanation of all things command, okay? I'm not going to get into the weeds on how to do this and step by step and everything else. I will give you a workflow at the end of this that literally has tutorial videos and articles on every single thing I'm saying. I will give that to you. It's free, so don't worry. You don't have to take notes on that. I've got all that stuff coming around the corner. So we can be here. I'll show you a couple of the cool things that are there. Before we dive into that, though, let's talk about generalization versus specialization. Okay, have you guys ever heard of this before? Generalization versus specialization. Really, what this means is that there's two kind of schools of thought, especially when it comes to tech. You've got specialists, and then you've got generalists. Okay, how many of you guys use some type of like productivity tool system, whether it's a calendar app, task manager? Good, awesome, great. Name them for me. What do you guys use?
Todoist.
Google Calendar.
Todoist. Nice. Google Calendar. What else? That's it? Task manager, calendar app. Do you guys use the native ones on the phone?
Gmail. I use all of Gmail.
Gmail. Okay. What else?
Actually, I use the task app that came with my phone.
Okay. What about reference? Something like Evernote, Dropbox, iCloud, Google Drive.
Google Drive.
I used to use Evernote.
Look at you guys. You used to use Evernote. Nice. That's the world I'm living in. I like it. All right, sweet. You guys picked a lot of the ones that are actually free, so that works out really well. One of the things that I want to show you guys today is what's called a tech stack. Okay. This is something that some of you have seen before. If we've sat down for a consultation, I probably showed it to you, but I want to walk through a tech stack as an example, because this is something that all of us should do for our business, okay? Specifically with technology, but also we do this with budgeting as well. And I recommend everybody does it. I don't want to put anybody in there as a guinea pig, so I'm just going to use myself, right? And I'm going to keep it specifically to productivity apps, right? So you're going to have a to-do manager, you're going to have reference, right? You're going to have some kind of a calendar, and I have a whole bunch of other stuff. So for me, this is called Todoist. For reference, I've used Evernote. For calendar, I use two apps. One's called Fantastical, right? And the other one's called Calendly.
I use that.
Great. Got all these things.
What do you mean by reference?
Reference. So if you have a note, some kind of important, if you're taking notes on this class, for instance, where is that note going to go?
Okay.
For me, I've used Evernote for that. And so this is kind of what a tech stack starts to look like, right? There's a couple things that we typically jump into.
How does like Evernote compared to Notes?
I'll get there. Very similar. They're essentially the same thing. One's a little bit better than the other. Airmail is one that I've used for email. Personally, it's a client that I've always liked. And I'm not recommending any of these over the others, by the way. I already mentioned that I've used Dropbox a lot for different types of storage. What else do I use on here? Oh, Password Keeper, if you use one of those. What else do I have on here? Oh, Hi Hello is a business card thing, if you're familiar with it. If you see my email signature, that's where that came from. Contacts Plus is something that I've used previously to merge a lot of contacts from Google, from Apple, from everything else, stuff like that. There's two that I use. One's called Zapier, if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
It basically links apps. There's another one that I use. It's called Airtable. We actually use that.
We use all that stuff?
Yes. So this is why, actually, and I'm glad you said that. This is why it's worth doing a tech stack, right? So if I was looking at you guys as a real estate business, I would be looking for things like, hey, what do you use as a CRM? What do you use for anything? Some of these will apply for task manager. What are you using for lead gen? What are you using for website or domain hosting? Things like that. And then what you do, once you kind of have an idea of what all of these things are, there's a few of them I still think about this now. I use Linktree too.
GoDaddy.
That's right. Yep. GoDaddy for a website.
Are they all free?
No, they're not. And then Text Expander is another one that I use as well. That's a cheat code I'll tell you about later. Now, what you need to do, if you're going to do this exercise, right? And typically what I'll walk through with you guys in a consultation is now you have to go one by one with all of these things and say, okay, how much does each one of these things cost me, literally per month, right? Airtable I know is about $20 a month,
You can also put in,
or $240 a year, right?
Quicken,
QuickBooks.
QuickBooks.
Yep, QuickBooks is on there as well, or my accountant, in my case, that I would use as well. Dropbox is gonna cost $100 a year, Linktree is $100 a year, Password Keeper, I think, is like $75 a year. I don't know what this is, maybe 50. Contacts is 55, Todoist is 100, Text Expander is like 30 a year, Evernote is 120 a year, Zapier is something like.
Is there a place on your phone where you can see what these costs?
Mhm. Yep, and then Fantastical,
When you add mine, it doesn't show it, it's linked and I can't disconnect the card and all it says is click to rights and I do the price. And I
so
don't know.
when we go through all these things and we literally take a look,
Frustrating.
one by one by one by one. One of the biggest things that I'm gonna try to identify, number one, what is my monthly spend on this tech stack? And number two, what is my yearly spend on this tech stack, right? I already went through previously and I added all these things up, and what I came down to is $1,141. That's what I'm spending just to have all this stuff on here, right? And this is why I wanted to start with this conversation, because generalist versus specialist is really, really important. When it comes to specialization, the reason why I use each one of these apps is because for me, arguably, this is the best that you can get inside of their realm. They are all extremely good at what it is that they do, despite the fact they don't do anything that the rest of them do, right? Now, you guys mentioned Google and Apple. Those are phenomenal examples of generalists. Google and Apple, when they were first created, like I like to use Apple because it's one that I'm most familiar with. How many of you guys use like an iPhone or an Android?
Android, boo.
Wow. Does anyone not use one or the other? Apple. I'm in the Apple sphere too.
Okay, stop.
So we're,
Not be there.
we're heavily weighted. Jane, could you get me a black marker out of my office? So one of the reasons why I want to start here is because Apple and Google are generalists. I'm going to use Apple as an example because it's something that I understand a little bit better. And Heidi and Pam, if you guys keep talking, I'm gonna boot you, I swear.
What's that again?
Shh, yeah, you wouldn't know. So one of the things that I would go through here, right? Thank you so much. These markers are terrible. One of the things I'm gonna do, let me use Apple as an example, right? Because Apple is a brilliant example of a generalist. When the Apple phone first came out, it changed everything. And the reason why it changed everything is because it took all this stuff and put it in one place for free for the user. Now, if you were there when they invented the iPhone, for the very first one that ever came out, it was terrible. It was a brick. Literally, it did not work. Every time you would call somebody, the call would drop, the thing shuts itself off, you would go into your contacts, the whole phone shut down. It didn't work very well. It took a couple iterations before Apple really became what they were. But their big value proposition and their claim to fame is ease of use, right? All of these things in one spot. And then when they created the App Store, it just multiplied that exponentially, right? So if I went through here, there's a bunch of stuff that I could get rid of. You know what I mean? If I'm using Reference, rather than using Evernote, and rather than paying $120 a year, I can use Notes. Is Notes as good as Evernote? No, I would argue that Evernote is a much better application, but Notes is free. Evernote costs me $10 a month, right? For example, Text Expander, Apple actually has one. They call it text replacement if you're looking for it.
What does that do? I don't even know.
So, for instance, if I was, am I on my thing up here? Let me see if I can do something real quick. Since you guys can see my, screen, I think. If I go in here and I text Pam, since you're my guinea pig, I'm just going to put in here, let's say that we wanted to do a consultation, for instance. I'm just going to put a caret sign and write consult. And once I hit the space bar, it's going to replace all my text with something I've already previously put in there. Make sense?
Mhm.
Same thing if I'm going to do that with Kscore, it'll send the link for there. I have a bunch of saved links and saved things where I have a couple keystrokes and it puts in either a bunch of text, like let's say for emails or recruiting, for instance, or consultations, things like that, that'll automatically replace that versus, you know, having to text all that stuff out. That's called text replacement. Again, Todoist I could get rid of. I can replace with reminders, right? Instead of using Calendly and Fantastical, I can just use the native iCal app. You see what I mean? Apple has a bunch of apps that will replace almost everything on this list. And actually, in preparation for today, I went through and did my own tech stack. And after seeing how much money I'm spending on that, I got rid of probably 85% of this. The only two that I couldn't replace was Airtable and Zapier. Those are the ones that for me I have to have.
What do they do?
Zapier connects multiple apps and workflows, and then Airtable is like a glorified spreadsheet, but you can transform data in a fly, and it can live live. So for me, it's something that we use a lot, and we actually use it here as well. Does all that make sense? So what are the points that I'm actually trying to make here, right? Because there's a lot of crap that's up on the board. Which one of these do you guys think is better? My tech stack or the Apple version?
For me, Apple.
Okay.
It's hard to say.
I don't have Apple.
Yeah, I don't know like anything about Google, so I feel like I couldn't answer that.
It's a trick question anyway. Thanks for playing along. Sorry, it was mean. It's irrelevant, because at the end of the day, the best system is the one that you're going to use, right? For me, if I use this, then so be it. If my business has scaled to the point where these are necessary items in order for me to run at the level that I want to run, then so be it. You know what I mean? What's important, and this is really the point I'm trying to make, is that you understand where those things are being spent, right? Because we have what we call like mental drift, right? What happens, we were talking a little bit earlier, it's like subscription services we didn't even know that we were paying for. I have like 20 Audible credits that I didn't realize were sitting there, which was like, oh, great, awesome. But anyway, going through this, it doesn't matter whether you're looking at one or the other, it depends on what your business is, right? But here's the point that I really want you to know is know the difference between generalization and specialization. When you think of command, you want to think of generalization, not specialization. Inside of the real estate industry, you're going to find other CRMs, you're going to find other task managers, other transaction coordination, other signing documents apps. There's a bunch of them, and you can pay for whichever ones that you want. My job is literally not sell you on command. That is not my job. I don't care which one that you use. What I want you to know is that there's a difference between specialization and generalization. Choose the one that works the best for you. Does that make sense? You guys with me so far? All right, so with all that in mind, now let's take a look at some of the stuff you guys are always asking about. Just a couple quick things with command that hopefully are kind of newer to you or that you didn't know that you could do. So the first place I'm gonna start, where's my phone? Which is really nice, so now it's a little easier to sign in.
Never remembers my username.
So take a look, I'm gonna click on my picture in the top left. And you see where it says my business card?
Mhm.
You said
I'll
it.
click on that, and then this screen will pop up. My recommendation is to save this. You can share it with a link if you wanna do that, you can send a picture if you wanna do that. I would recommend taking a screenshot and actually saving that. And again, if you wanna use the text expander I just sent you, you can actually save that in the text expander as well. But I saved this into my wallet so that when I pull it out, you can. Actually, when I met Darren the other day, I pulled this out and here's all my contact information, right? If you scan that, and you can if you want to, I know you mostly have my contact information already. But if you scan that, if there's a save button, it goes directly in your phone, whether you're using iPhone, whether you're using Google or whatever else. So it makes it really, really easy. And it's just a quick hack that honestly not a lot of people know about.
Okay, I'm like, you're gonna kill me, but I have to ask this again. Sharing listing, we sat in this class, they said you do it through the app, and then I went back and I tried to do it and I couldn't do it.
We'll
Which,
get to it later.
okay,
Yep, Red app or the White app.
different red app, not this app?
You can use the Red app or you can use the link. Yep, we'll get there later.
Okay.
Yep. All right, so next thing I want to show you guys. So here's number 2, cheat code number 2 is bulk contacts import. A lot of people don't realize this exists. Some of you do. So if I go in the bottom here, I'm going to click on the contacts applet right here. And at the very top right, the 3 dots, that's called an ellipsis. I'm going to click on that. And you see where it says import contacts? If you click on that, it will literally import all of the contacts on your phone if you wanted to. Or you can go through there and select which ones that you actually want in there. Sorry. Or you can actually go through which ones that you want in there.
Wait, what did you click on from here? I don't see 3 dots.
Contacts. Contacts.
Yeah, the 3 dots.
The top 3 in the right corner. So if you wanted to, you could go through this and click on all of them. One of the things that you're going to find out is like, I've got multiple contacts. This is apparently pulling from Google and from Apple for me. So there's a bunch of contacts that are in here and a bunch that are left over. So I could go through if I wanted to and actually select all of them one by one and figure out who I want in there, who I don't want in there. Or I could just click on all and import 17,000 contacts, which is a lot,
Where are you importing them to?
into Command directly.
I thought those were all your contacts in.
There's like 5 irons right there.
So
He
they're,
just inputted his phone.
yeah, exactly. These are my phone's contacts. Now, the reason why,
Just answer a quick question, this might sound really,
sure,
He just
Like,
inputted his
you know, you
phone.
get a contact, you save their number into your phone, like,
Mhm.
that's the easiest way to put them into command, is just to do that instead of retyping it
Well,
into
yeah, cause you
command.
can just like refresh it, it's only gonna add new contacts.
Yeah,
Oh.
so,
Oh, it is, so I'm gonna add new ones.
like,
It consolidates
Yeah.
them too, yeah.
So-
I feel like I put them in my phone, and then I have to go in and add them as a contact, so that's.
oh yeah, so.
That's so simple.
To Lee's point, let's say you've put in a bunch of contacts since the last time you've done this. You can go back in and import all the contacts, and there's an option that pops up, import only the new ones. So if you have a bunch of new ones in there, you can go back in, do this again, and import the new ones, if that's the way that you want to do it.
Okay.
Now, hack number 3, okay, once you've done this, we're gonna move back over to Command. I like to do this on the computer. It's just easier this way. I'm gonna go into my contacts applet, right? And then all the way over on the right next to add contact, there's another ellipsis menu. I'll click on that. And then you can click on what's called check for duplicates. So for me, this will pop up. You can see right here, it says scanning for duplicates. It'll take a second. And then inside of the menu, it'll say, hey, look, database scan completed. Let's review these duplicates. I just created one because I know that I didn't have any duplicates, but here's Tony Stark, right? So it's saying, hey, you've got one duplicate in here. Do you want to merge them? And here's hack number 4 is you can merge the ones. It'll pop up if they have a similar email address, they have a similar phone number or a similar name, it'll pop up and offer to merge them for you. Now, big asterisk, all right? A lot of us have our office number inside of our business card or inside of our email address or something like that. So be careful if you're going to be importing agents, and I do recommend that you do this, by the way. Profit shares are a real thing. You can pay for all of your expenses. Import all the agents in there, label them as agents. And you can do that as well when you're importing. If you want to import a whole bunch of real estate agents, you can do that, label them as agent. By the way, all of us in a TCPA compliant way, right? Right? Don't do illegal crap. Don't import a bunch of lists that you don't have ownership of, okay? I'm not a broker anyway, so I'm not gonna be liable. But yeah, and then you can merge them. That's easy. Questions? Good? Easy enough. It's cool. All right, here, what'd you say?
So I like your contact.
My contact? Oh, Tony Stark, thank you. I've got Bugs Bunny in here, I've got Daffy Duck in here. I can't find it. And actually, the funny thing is, do you know how when you get text messages from the actual market center, it pops up with somebody's name?
Yeah.
Because the number is associated to their contact card.
Now it's blind.
I went in there ahead of time and assigned that to Tony Stark, so now I get messages from Tony Stark anytime there's something out.
Mine's Juliet,
Really
because
nice.
we give them
It's
score.
always Juliet when I get it.
All right, so let's switch over to
So
hack number 5, and this is gonna be the open house registration link. This is one of my favorite things that exists. I'm gonna go over to my website real quick. So I'll take a look at that and figure out why those are not populating. But for the sake of the open house thing, grab a URL from your website, whatever that is, and at the very end of it, what I want you to do is just type a / and then type in open house and then hit enter. And then what this will do is it's actually going to create a registration landing page for whatever listing that you're actually going to use. It'll be branded to you. And then it's basically a form for them to put their information in. The way that I like to use this is I'll take a QR code, I'll put this URL, tie it to the QR code so that when people walk in the front door of an open house, they're gonna scan that, take them to this page, and as soon as they register, they're good to go, right? And I'll get an alert literally in my pocket because I've got my phone on me, knowing that they registered. It will kick back if they give you a fake email address, which is really nice.
that helps.
The other thing that this will do is it'll immediately put them into command. So they go immediately into that. on the back end, what you can do is assign auto tagging as well, or lead flow or lead management. So you can tell command, hey, when people come in from this open house, I want you to tag them this way, and I want you to put them over here or add them to this smart plan, right? Good?
Does this work if you're sitting someone else's?
Yes.
listing?
This is not my listing.
Oh.
So it's just you take the URL
Yeah, can you
slash
just go do
open
one more time
house.
slow?
Why?
It's just
Because
the
you
URL
talk
slash
fast.
backslash, it's just open house, you're just putting the slash.
So-
All you're
gonna do is go back, right? And you can do this with literally
Go to
any,
your listing,
Okay, so you go to your website.
yes, and it needs to be yours, because whatever, if you guys went to my website and tried this and grabbed my URL, it's gonna send all your people to my database. So you gotta go to your website, your agent site, and then type /open house. I'm gonna grab this one.
Okay, so website and then you /open house.
Yep, one word. Open house,
Property address /open house
/
okay, property address, and that makes the landing page.
You just hit enter.
That's it, just hit
So
enter.
you don't have to copy and paste it into anything.
Nope, that's it, just hit enter.
So
And if
then-
you want to, you can copy this URL. You can use it on your phone, you can use it on an iPad, you can type through QR code. You can
And go
text
to
it out ahead of
tiny
time.
URL and make a URL out of it, go to tinyurl.com and make a URL out of it.
If you
I
want
mean,
to.
A QR code. I mean,
Yeah, QR code. So just go generate a QR code.
What's the best way to generate the QR code?
Yeah, what's the
You can go to
last?
Google and just type in QR code generator.
That's many other
There's a bunch of
things.
free ones that pop up. Eventually, they'll try to get you to start paying for them. Canva can do it as well.
Can we make, besides open house, can we make any other landing page?
You can make a ton of them. Yep.
So you have other like keywords that you could recommend, cause I wanted to make a landing page just to use if I'm mailing something out and they would go to it. and-
Yes, you can create an infinite amount of landing pages on your website. So we'll get to agent sites in a little bit.
Okay.
Again, I'm starting with the easiest stuff at the top, and then we'll get more and more complicated as we go down.
Once in a while.
Hey Alex, this didn't work for me, can we do this later?
Yep. We have to take a look at your
I can't
website.
even practice because I can't even get a listing to come up in Sparta,
We'll
in
take a
New
look.
Jersey.
It's not coming, like,
It's
none of my,
literally showing me, like, other
It's a problem
countries.
that needs to be investigated. I thought maybe it was just our website, but then Emmett tried to do something, so
Huh.
we have to figure out why.
I literally can't even get
Sparta's not
Sparta,
showing up.
Sparta won't
Sussex
come up.
County
Alright.
probably isn't coming up.
it's not coming up
Hampstead.
because only 2 of all my listings are there.
Sounds good. I'll connect with Ashley. She's our regional tech trainer, and I'll see what the issue is. It could be an office-wide thing. The fact that no one's able to see listings from our office, but I can see listings from other offices, means that there's probably some kind of broken MLS link, so we'll take a look.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so let's talk about auto tagging. I'm gonna go into command, and we'll take a look at this. This one's a little bit more complicated. Again, I really don't wanna get in the woods with this one, but this is a very, very important thing to understand for workflow. So if I log into command, click on my picture and go to settings, obviously it's gonna take me to all the settings and preferences. I'm going to go to command, contacts, and then lead management, okay? What you can do inside of here is you can create tagging systems. So you can define a lead source. So let's say, for instance, an open house or a specific open house. I could grab that URL and say, every single person that comes through this open house link, I want you to tag them as open house 123 Main Street. I also want you to add them to my 123 Main Street open house follow-up plan. And when that follow-up plan is done, I want you to add them to my 8x8 nurture plan and then my 36 touch plan.
What if they're working with another agent?
If they walked in and handed me a real estate agent card, that's one thing. If they're coming in and they're registering, then so be it. They can always unsubscribe. Yeah. Make sense? You want me to show you how to do one of these things real quick? 123 Main Street open house link.
I'm like,
My head is spinning.
He's gonna,
Yeah,
can
it's
I
a
open the
little-
door just to cool you down?
No, it's too loud.
Okay,
I don't like it when it echoes off the back, but thank you.
sorry.
Lead source, and honestly, that'll keep us focused too.
I'm cold.
Fine.
So if I wanted to, I could come in here and do open house. I can add new ones if I wanted to do that. I used to have Ylopo, so that was something that was chugging people into command for me. Pick open house, you can determine what lead sources you want, and then I can add a certain tag if I want, right? Buyer lead, if I wanted to do that, or maybe buyer. You can put in multiple contacts too. You can also tag it as 123 Main Street. right?
Alex, do you know how to delete a tag? Cause I tried doing that and
I'll show
You gotta
you.
go into settings, yep.
Joe, I'll show you right now.
You see what I mean though? You can add multiple tags inside of here. Then you can assign them certain smart plans. So whatever smart plans that you have, my recommendation is go build out your smart plans first, like figure out what your, oh man, what a mess. Figure out what your workflow is actually going to be first. And then from there,
Doing each person individually, or did you say there was a way to get them all in?
so.
Didn't you say something about a scan code and they would
QR
all
code.
go, yeah, and they all go in?
Yep. So scan a QR code, go to the registration form and they'll fill out their name. And then on the back end, if you assign them to that open house, like basically do this on the back end, create your smart plan on what you want them to be on, grab that URL link, tie it to a QR code so that when they walk in, they scan it, they put their name in and they immediately go into the smart plans, whatever it's going to be, whatever you've determined on the back end.
I don't know how to use QR codes.
All right, we can look at that later. Cool? Questions? Have you guys done this before, lead management flow?
That I know.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say test this on yourself first, right? So create a lead source that's going to be, grab one of your listings, say, hey, 123 Main Street, lead source, then create a smart plan for it. I would recommend tying your 36 touch, your 8x8 touch. Usually what I do is basically, and I'm going to give you this workflow after the fact too, and tutorial videos, so don't worry about it. Open house, they're going to scan a QR code, right? They're immediately going to go to the registration page. And then they're going to go into a workflow for me. Number one is going to be 123 Main Street smart plan, right? That's going to be step one. As soon as they come in the house, they see the house, awesome. Later on that day, I usually set it to like a 3-hour delay because I don't like it. I don't like with them getting a text or an email while they're actually at the house and I'm standing at the front door. But I like setting it for like a 2 or 3 hour delay so that it pops up later on whether you're going to do texting or email, like, hey, what did you think of 123 Main Street? Do you have any feedback that I could give my seller? Right? And just leave it open and see what they say. Depending on what happens there, that's going to probably put them on an 8x8 for me. That's going to be next step. You guys know what an 8x8 is, right? So it'll put them on an 8x8. And then over the next 8 weeks, once it finishes that, then they will go to my 36 touch drip. Or maybe a buyer drip as well. Sometimes I'll put a buyer one in here. And then sometimes a seller, depending on which one I want it to be in a given moment. But I would work on that workflow a little bit so that you know exactly where these leads are going to go. I also have a rental one too for rental leads. That's a long-term nurture.
Yeah, now, do you have like one of these all set up that we can incorporate or copy already so we don't have to go and?
No, I don't. I would recommend go and draw out the steps on what you want them to be.
Okay.
Because then you're going to actually know where they're going, right? Because if I were to give you my smart plan, it's connected to 40 other smart plans.
Okay.
So like Alex's open house smart plan is only one step. It's like, and it's new for every single one that it's going to be. And that's going to connect to Alex's drip. You know what I mean? Which is the next thing is going to be like lead generation, 8x8, trying to kick that up. We do have 8x8 and 36 touch ones that are in the library for command, if you want to check those out. Again, I'd recommend if you're going to try to do something like this, I don't recommend the 36 touch one. If you're going to do the 8x8, go in and make sure it's specific to you, right? Don't go in and just assume that this thing's ready to go out of the box. Go in and personalize it. You should know, if you're going to put somebody on a drip like this, you should know every step of that drip. Because once they respond, you need to know where they're at in that process and you need to go shut it off because they might go to a new smart plan or go somewhere else in the.
I like
In the
this
system.
idea, I never thought to do this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I get like, you know, like a lead or something, and I just automatically, I just do monthly neighborhood nurturers, but to do something like this,
Yes.
it's easy and
Thanks.
great.
One of the things I would say is the closer that you get to, especially the 36 touch campaign, like that has to be your baby. Whereas real estate agents, this is the thing that we know, we love, we own, because every step of that's going to be specific to you. And that's the thing that once they go in that, right, you get leads from all these different sources, they all go into the funnel, right, from MREA. They all go into that 36 touch campaign and there they stay until somebody raises a hand and says, hey, I'm ready to transact real estate. So once that happens, you got to go in and know to stop that campaign because you're taking it over. But while they're in there, as long as you know what that is, especially on a newsletter, so like my 36 Touch is always going to have the monthly neighborhood nurture, and it's always going to have a newsletter. Because for me, that's easy. Those are two things that once a month are going, and I'm already at 24 touches, right? Beyond that, I'll get to DTD2. Cool. What else? Auto tagging I set up. All right, let's talk about DTD2. Do you guys know what DTD2 is? Yes, what is it?
System for good call.
Yes, very good. And the point of DTD2 is to take the quarterly call campaign, right? So if you're looking at building your 36 touch campaign, I'll do one over here real quick. Monthly neighborhood nurture, right, will give us 12 touches. A newsletter is going to give us 12 touches. And I usually put in DTD2. And normally what we would do is we would call this a quarterly call campaign, right? Every time that you haven't talked to somebody in 90 days, you should give them a call. And command will pop up and be like, hey, you haven't spoken to Alex in 90 days. Give them a call. Yeah. DTD2 breaks this up so that it's randomized. You have basically tags with different letters, and they're always the same, but like A is with W, I just know that for some reason. So every week, like let's say this week pops up and this week is A and W. You're gonna go through your phone and call everybody that's got a last name starting with A and everybody that has a last name starting with W. And then you're also going to text everybody whose last name is P, I think is the one that goes with that one. So what you're doing is you're systematically working through your database on a quarterly call campaign. It doesn't have to be like, hey, do you know anybody that's looking to buy or sell real estate? It's like, hey, I haven't spoken to you in a while. How's your family? Use the Ford script, right? That's going to give you 6 touches as well. Holidays, typically you'll get around, I don't know, 8, something like that. Birthday. House anniversary if it applies. The other one I always like to do is client events, something. Or maybe you're doing seminars, something like that. These are just some ideas. I don't have to go through this list. You guys know what these are, right? Let's say you do 4 seminars. 30, 9, 41, that's 45 touches right there. But I would go through and kind of figure out what that looks like for you and basically say, okay, here's what my lead generation looks like. Here's my 36 touch campaign. So let me talk about, I'm gonna switch back over into command for me. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about contact tags. Here we go, Joe. So I'm inside of command settings and I'm gonna go to contact tags. These are all of the tags that I have inside of command for me. And I can go through and I can edit them or delete them. So you'll notice, if I go to the next page, I've got
It's
all
under contacts.
I've got all of my DTD2 tags in here already set up. So anytime somebody comes in here, if they do not have one of these tags associated with them, they sit in a bucket for me. I'm gonna get to smart views in a second. They're gonna sit in a bucket until I tag them accordingly with DTD2. That way I know that when they pop up and it's like, hey, call all of your DNOs, then I know I'm calling through DNO.
Can I make a suggestion?
Go for it.
So this is really cool. I do something similar but very different at the same time. I like command, so this is like pro command. I wanted to make sure I was making my quarterly calls this year.
Good.
So I knew, I took my list, I came up with a core group. There's 250 of them. I was able to put them all on a smart plan for quarterly call. It started January 1st, but they're dripping in. I'm not doing, it's set up through command to only give me 3 a day. That's 250 a quarter.
Great.
So it's, I log into command and it's like, call these people, instead of DTD2, it's actually like, you know, Brian, Amber, Stephanie, Matthew, Jake,
Love it.
right in command. So it's just the same thing, different way.
Yes, I love it. So it depends on how you want to break it up. For me,
Different option.
I don't like looking at it in quarters. You can also delay it. So if you wanted to add 300 people into the smart plan that Steph is describing, you can set it on a 1-day delay.
That's, yeah. That's
Or you
kinda
can set it
like-
on a 30-day
They
delay.
do three
Yeah.
people per day. It's about 20 people a week.
The
That's
best
so
delay-
easy
yeah.
to do.
With the smart tags, I'm sorry, with the tags, are they automatically getting tagged or
No,
do
you
you
gotta
tag.
tag.
manually tag them?
I manually
Okay,
tag them,
just
yeah.
wanted.
Yep.
And then it triggers, it takes like 2 seconds.
All right, let's go to advanced filtering. I don't know what hack we're on now, 8. Advanced filtering is something that they've added very recently, but if you want to create your own views inside of command, you can. So like, if you wanna look at, say for instance, here I am with a bunch of contacts, right? So let's say I wanna create a view that is, let me see here, where am I at? Contacts, filters. Here are all of our regular filters. And if you click on advanced, you can kind of select anything that you want to. At the top of my brain, one of the things that I'm thinking that's useful is like, hey, show me all the contacts that have gone into my database in the last 7 days, right? So I'm going to go where contact, or let's say created is within the last 7 days, and hit apply. This is going to show me everybody that's gone into command for me in the past 7 days. So there they are, all 2 of them, right? One of them is Tony Stark that I made up yesterday. What you can do, if this is a view that's very, very useful for you, is you could just click Create Smart View, save it as like recent contacts, and then keep it there. Another one that you can use a lot, especially if you're doing a neighborhood nurture, is you can create a view that says, show me every contact that does not have a neighborhood. And that way you've got a list of people, or show me anybody that doesn't have one of these tags. That's my smart view, right? I can create one that says filters, tags, excludes any of, and then go through, new DTD2. And then what I can do is select all of these, and this is going to show me every single contact that does not have one of these tags associated to it. Does this make sense? I know it's a little work on the front side, but again, your database is your business. That's where we get all of our business from, is our database. So I would say on the front end, if you're going to go through and actually clean up your database and apply some of these things, it'll get your database set up to streamline for you. So every time somebody's coming in there, it's showing you bright and bold, hey, this is a new contact, or this is a new lead, or this is somebody that's not tagged the way that you like to tag things. And this is where like one workflow isn't the right way to do it. It's your workflow. It's got to be specific to you because everybody thinks differently. Me, I'm extremely systematic. I like certain views showing me, hey, do any of these things apply, not apply here, not apply here, not apply here. Make sense?
This is where, so if I wanted to look at the tag, the contacts that don't have a neighborhood assigned to them, you can do that from there.
Advanced filtering. What else? I'll take a look at that. What are some examples? So smart views I talked about, task lists are another one that you might want to check out. So if I go into the opportunity tab to try to find some of these task lists, opportunities, you can change what tasks are appropriated to different stages. If I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this or not. So depending on what stage that you have, right, you can click on the stages and checklists button. There's a bunch of stuff that's in here that's already presupposed. You can entirely change this. If you like to think of your pipeline as like hot, warm, or cold, or whatever it is, these are all mine specifically. You can also add task lists when somebody moves from one to the next, right? So for instance, if I wanted to add a task list on here, I can click edit. Oh, not this. Create a stage, and then you can add different tasks associated with this.
That is so cool.
So legitimately, let's say that you get through inspections and you want to have a bunch of tasks that are in here that you need to do, like follow up with the client about such and such, or like, hey, inspections have come, negotiate inspections. You can take, what I would say is take your listing presentation, like here's all the crap that I do for you, and put them in here as tasks. So that every single time you move somebody to a new stage, it's automatically going to generate the tasks that you need to do, right? Follow up with inspection requests.
Will it alert you? Like,
Yeah,
Yes.
show up in your tasks.
Yep.
To-do list.
Yeah, it'll pop up. So
That is so cool.
it'll pop up in your tasks. It's also going to send you a notification as well once that task comes, depending on what your stuff is. What'd you say, Denise?
This is so
I think
awesome.
there's already preset tasks under every single one. I thought it was.
Yep. So some of them are presupposed. So some of them are in there already. Certain stages cannot be edited. You must keep certain ones within command. Others can be edited entirely, and most of the tasks can be completely edited as well. One of the other things that you can do is something that's called client updates, which anytime you move, let's say I was gonna, hold on, let me get in out here. I'm trying to think of like, I've got a buyer, here we go. Appointment. Active. So let's say I grab one of these guys and I drag them from showing into, or from searching into showing, or showing into negotiations, negotiation into legacy or whatever, or I drag them into appointment, under contract, or closed. I can do anything I want with this card. Depending on what I do with this, it'll automatically trigger whatever those checklists are inside of that new stage. It's also going to send client notifications according to what I've already dictated it to do, right? So let's say that I move it from showing into negotiations, or from negotiations into under contract. Under contract is gonna pop up saying like, hey, you're now under contract, or blah, blah, blah. I don't remember where I grabbed this guy from. You can tell each task whether or not you want it included in the client update or not. And then Command will send an email to your client saying, hey, congratulations, you just accepted an offer. Here's what's happening next. Yep.
That's really good.
It's really, really cool. So from a transaction management standpoint, if you want to keep your clients up to date, this is one thing I really do a lot, because, you know, for me, it was always Tuesdays. I would always call clients on Tuesdays, like, hey, here's what happened over the weekend. Here are offers that we're fielding. Here's what we're doing with highest and best, and blah, blah, blah. Here's what we have in front of us, or whatever else. Those client updates help considerably to let them know what steps are next in the process. Again, I'm showing you guys the base version of all these things, like the bare bones one. You can add in images, you can add in stuff from you or specific emails, match them up with how you guys like to do it.
So I have a question. I usually start all my new transactions up in the contact, tab, little giblet thing or whatever they
Applet?
call it. Yeah,
Sure.
there you go. I never start them in the opportunities. Should I be starting them? Like, so I'm wondering if I don't start them in the opportunity applet, if I'm not gonna get all of this information.
The answer is no. You can start it from either one.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Whether you start it inside of the contact itself,
Mhm.
or if you start it inside of the pipeline, they're both connected. So if
Okay.
you're inside of your pipeline and you're like, hey, here's a brand new buyer that just started searching, it's gonna ask you what contact it is, or give you an opportunity to make a new one. If you go to contacts, and let's say I'm going to Joe Schmo and he's just starting to search, I can create a new opportunity, dictate to my pipeline what stage he's in, and then I'll start right there at that stage. Does that make sense?
So
Yeah.
that's just the board view,
Yes.
is what you're doing.
Mhm. But clicking and dragging them will trigger it. By default, client updates are turned off.
Yeah.
So you actually have to go in, click on client updates to start telling Command, yes, I would like you to send these emails. I like to personally.
Right, so if we drag them from one stage to another, does it automatically change the stage, like in opportunity, like where you would normally click the drop down box and?
Mhm. Yep, exactly. Yep, this is for me, this is the easier way to do it. Is if I'm, so like on Monday morning, I would come in and be like, all right, what happened this weekend? Who did we show what to? Who am I negotiating for? Who am I writing offers for? Who am I fielding offers for? And start clicking and dragging. If it was me, this would be Monday morning with your team or yourself every single Monday. Who do we have? Who moved? What are they doing and where are they going? So that you know exactly what your pipeline looks like.
Now, when new things come out, like I know that in Command, you see like the like, the little things, you know, that says, hey, this is new.
Yeah.
Do they have like videos?
Yeah.
Like, so click
Yeah.
on that?
Not always, no, not always. They always post to kitofcommand.com. I'm
Okay.
gonna show that later, and I'm gonna give you guys a workflow with a bunch of videos.
Okay, alright.
Teams, what about?
What like tasks for teams, like if I want a task to go to a particular agent on my team.
Yes, you can dictate who that task goes to. Teams are set up as a variation of this. So this pipeline that you're looking at is for a single agent.
Mhm.
If you have a team, Command is geared differently. And the way that it's set up is it's set up for rainmakers and everybody else on the team, including admin, TC, ISA, or whatever else. So you can dictate the actual roles, and inside of your checklist, be like, okay, we had an open house. On Monday morning, I want all these leads going to Kristen. And I want all of these leads also going to Alex, because he's our ISA, and Alex, you have to call these people. Follow up with them. Thanks for coming to the open house. What'd you think? Blah, blah, blah. Kristen, you gotta call all these agents because they're the ones that came through. You can it's a sandbox, build what you would like it to be, and then Command will do that for you. The option is there. It's just depending on how you'd like to do it. Okay. All right, so let's go to command sites. This one's gonna be, I've got 5 minutes. I'm gonna try to go here as much as I can. So I'm gonna click on consumer, okay? If you have not yet updated your website and pay attention to me for this one. If you've not updated your website, there's gonna be a big button up here that says switch to the new agent site. If you click that button, you'll get all the new stuff, but it's going to erase everything that's not tied to command for you. If you have any standalone pages, if you have any kind of iframes that you've put onto your website, anything like that, command will wipe it in order to go to the new one, okay? So save that information. If you have coding, save the code, right? Or whatever else that you have, then click that button, all right? Now I'll scroll down real quick. Obviously, there's some settings you guys are gonna wanna go through here and just double check them. There are some very simple ones. One at the bottom is one I would highlight. How many properties should somebody be allowed to see if they're on your website? For me, I like 2. Somebody can go to my website, alexhauser.kw.com. They can start looking for properties. They will be able to see pictures and look at properties twice before the system will force them to register. And then it'll force them to register and they'll go into command. And then I start getting notifications and stuff.
Do you get a lot of people who are registered?
For me, not so much anymore. I mean, I'm not really in production
I
that
know,
much.
I'm curious if anybody does.
I do
For
now.
me personally, if I'm looking out of area especially, and I'm just curious, I'll leave and go to realtor.com or Zillow or something to
Yeah.
browse, you know?
I'm starting to, I still see a lot of Redfin. I don't see Zillow as much anymore. Again, I'm not really in production. So
Right,
the ones that I have from my sphere that are actively hunting or looking or selling or whatever else, they tend to go to Redfin. I get a lot from the ones that are on my app. It's different. They will send me stuff
right.
constantly and then I can see everything, which is really nice, especially showing requests.
Mhm.
Although if they're not pulling up the right properties, that's frustrating. So I'm gonna take a look at that. I'm gonna click on edit my website. This is the new one. I've upgraded already. And again, for me, to keep this as simple as possible, because I'm constantly showing this, this is the bare bones version with one thing added, which is the home valuation tool, okay? This is what you'll see on the back end. It's very confusing when you first look at it. There's a little bit of a learning curve. I had to learn it myself. But you can build custom pages. I forget who it was that was asking me about this. You can build standalone landing pages. So if you wanted to create a standalone landing page for 123 Main Street, you can do that and tie it to your website here, okay? So let's say you have 8 properties and you want pages for each one of those 8 properties, you can create that here if you would like to. Blog posts are on here. The thing I wanted to show you was how to create a home valuation tool. So I'm gonna click on, what is it? Custom page. You can give it a title, header, you can hide it and do everything else. Underneath the page contents, you're gonna click on add module. And then there's all kinds of stuff that you can put in here. So like if you wanna put stat lists, you can do that. They're completely editable. So I put in stats on my home valuation tool, which I'll show you in a second, of like, here's everything going on in Morris County. Here's the average sales price, here's what's sold. And for me, I need to know to update that quarterly. You can put videos on here as well. So if you're recording videos talking about the market, you can record a video and dump it on there with YouTube. Or right here, home valuation search component, click that, and then it's gonna drop that in there as well, okay? And I'll show you what this looks like in real time. So if I go to more, here's the home valuation tool. Again, I've kept it very, very simple. Basically plug in your home address. Give me an address, 19 Tracy, something or other, Lane. It's going to pop up with a range to give me an idea, like that's a big range, but it's gonna give me an idea of like, hey, this is about what your home would be worth, right? If you want to find out more information, then they can put comments in here and click submit, and then I get a lead inside of command. Cool.
And this is exclusive to the new agent site?
Exclusive to the new agent site, correct.
All right.
Again, I know a lot of us use HomeBot, right? I like HomeBot better, frankly, but this is free and it's available if you want to implement that. I would say at least put it on your website. A couple more for you. I got 2 more that's left. This one's one that I'm sure none of you guys are using yet, but you should actually use. It is a newsletter. You can build a newsletter inside of command if you want to do that. And I'll show you, here's mine. This is all free. This is just what I did. I went in and I built something for me that was real quick. It's like, all right, let me show you guys what a newsletter looks like, right? And then you can, for me, I just mimic, and I'll be honest with you guys, this is a demo template. I use MailChimp. So I just wanna show you that this can be built inside of here for free, and again, comes down to your tech stack. Do you wanna pay for MailChimp? You can, or do you wanna build something in here that's for free? You can embed videos, you know, typical things that you would find in there. Let me give you a preview of this, kind of what this would look like. This is what it would look like inside of a, let's go on the phone. Phone, tablet, computer. I don't remember what video I put in here. I'm kind of scared to see. Market statistics, whatever else that you want to do, events that are coming up, picture, download my app, blah, blah, blah. Again, quick hit. But if you want to build a template, I know Leah's done this. She's got her cyberbacker that's building these newsletters that she's sending out to other agents. So this is another one that you could do if you wanted to have like a content type newsletter and you don't feel like spending $12 a month for MailChimp or for the other one, whatever it's called. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let me give you guys this link. Where did it go? Here. Scan this. Because we love QR codes. So I put this together, I don't know, yesterday. Basically, all it is, it's every single thing that I've talked about today in a workflow. So I'm going to assume that you're like, hey, I need a lead, so I'm going to start farming for a seller lead. Start there and walk through the process of a normal transaction and the different things that you can use from command that would apply to that specific stage. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So all of those links that are inside of there are tutorial videos, whether they're coming from KW Command themselves, some of them are from Scott Leroy. There's a dude named Mark Miller who is phenomenal at creating tutorial videos. They're very long, but they're extremely in-depth. So like, if you guys really want to learn how to use something, I would say watch some of those videos because it's going to show you soup to nuts, everything that you want to do. Like for agent sites, some of the things that agents have built are amazing. And I would never have thought that that was built on command, but they exist and they're walking through that step by step, especially with blog posts, videos, and things like that, always reverting back to the website. And then on the back end, I'm going to follow up with Jane to make sure, Jane and Ashley, to find out exactly what it is that was stopping us from being able to see those listings. But I'll take a look at that and find out what that is. Cool.
This is great.
Sweet. Sorry it took so long. This was kind of like an ad hoc thing that, you know.
No, this was good, all the, that QR code with all the stuff